everyone. Welcome to Relate to You. We are back in the new studio. If you did not watch our episode last week, we really encourage you guys to watch the 5 languages of love with us. Today, we are sporting pretty much the episode before Valentine's Day. Tomorrow is the day of love.
Yes.
Quote unquote, the commercialized day of love in the United States. So today we thought for a fun segment, we were just going to talk about crushes and love and, you know, puppy love and all of that. Ooh. So pretty much to go down memory lane as to some of the, you know, ways that we came to, you know, what is it like coming of age, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Coming of age. Oh, that's nice.
So let's start off with Lula. Do you remember your first crush?
I remember.
How old are you? Because some people are late bloomers, you know?
I feel like I might have been a late bloomer.
Ooh.
Because my first crush was in 3rd grade.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's, is that 7? 8?
No, 8, I think.
Okay.
8, 9.
For our parents watching is like, that's young.
And he was a bad boy of the class.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was very rough around the edges. He
This is in Mexico.
This is in Mexico. Yes,
Nice.
yes. I had just moved schools, so I didn't know no one. And he was the first one to approach me.
Oh.
Yeah, he went up to me. He's like, "Oh, me gusta tu pelo chinito." Y me hizo así porque I was very, you know, I'm still at heart very introverted, but back then it was just on a different level, and the whole time I'm looking, you know, to the floor, and he goes, "Oh, me gustan tus chinitos."
Oh my God, why do I envision you like short with your hair just like in your face, just kind of with your books, that he had to like look at you?
I don't really remember, but he touched it. He actually touched it. Yeah, he's like,
oh,
me gustan tus chinitos. Y me dice, ¿cómo te llamas? Y ya le dije, Marilu, y le hace, oh. Y he was very friendly. You know, after that day, I realized, oh, he's a troublemaker. He would always get in trouble y todo eso. But he was very nice to me. He was very nice to me. I think he liked me. Well, we were girlfriend and boyfriend.
Oh, so he was your first, pretty much your first boyfriend.
My first boyfriend, yes. Su nombre es Edgardo. And he was very nice to me. He was a very sweet kid. And I think what I liked about it is that everyone knew him as a bad guy, but I knew him as a nice kid.
Oh,
you know, with me, he
cute.
was different. With me, he was very like, very sweet, very attentive. Me agarraba de la mano. La maestra, because in 3rd grade, me pegaba. You know, like she'll just because I think, okay, I've joked about it before, but my sisters joke that yo tengo la cara de mensa. Y me dicen, es que tú tienes la cara de una niña que we just want to bully. Like, that's why you got bullied, because tienes la cara. You know, you have like the
I know what you're talking about, but like, I don't feel like you had that face.
When I was a kid, yes. Oh my God, I'll post baby pictures, or not baby, but when I was a child, and I do.
Instagram.
I do. I okay. Right now, maybe I'm the bully.
Okay.
But I have the face of a bully. But when I was a child, sí tenía esa cara de alguien hágame algo, díganme algo. It's just I was easy prey. I think that's what it was.
Okay.
I was an easy prey.
I see.
And so la maestra, just because like I wasn't a bad kid, but I hung around bad kids because those were the only ones that liked me in a way, that sort of, you know, they embraced me. And so I would always get the worst end of the stick. Entonces la maestra siempre me pegaba. And I remember a lot of those times he stood up for me. Y le decía, hey vieja, no le hagas eso. You know? Like, así le decía. Porque te digo, o sea, el muchacho era...
like he was the comic...
Not just comic, pero era groserísimo. O sea, era grosero, era mal hablado, no respetaba. Which is
tenía
why...
los pies en el escritorio, like everything.
Yes, which is why I find it interesting that I knew him very different. or differently than other people did. And so me acuerdo que varias veces me decía, no dejes que esa vieja te pegue. Y yo le decía, pues, what can I do? Yo no puedo hacer nada. Pues es la maestra. Y me decía, no, pues tú quítale la mano. Porque era lo que él hacía.
O sea, tú nomás te quedabas ahí.
Y yo nomás
¿qué ibas a hacer?
Pues sí, I would take it. Pero él no. O sea, si ella le ponía una mano encima o le quería como, hacía como que le quería pegar, él le decía, quítese. Y le decía más cosas feas y yo, oh. Entonces, seguido.
Okay. I have a question. This is not related to the crush, but at that time in Mexico, was it normal still, or was it frowned upon that she was hitting?
I think it was still normal. Okay. I think it was not as normal as like with my mom, like our parents' tiempo o así. Pero it was still sort of normal. I think ya no ahorita tanto, pero antes sí era, it was sort of like they are the second parents, you know? And parents had more respect.
So like parents weren't like gonna like be like, oh my gosh, what do you mean your teacher hit you? Oh, okay, that's my question.
To me, actually, when I came to the U.S., it was a cultural shock. Que si tantito alguien se quejaba de que el maestro me dijo algo que no me gustó, mom ya estaba ahí the next day. To me, that was a cultural shock. Porque to me, it was like, dude.
My mom.
To me, it was like, dude. Yo le di, my mom sabía, pero mi mamá estaba ocupada con otras cosas, you know. Y para mi mamá, de alguna forma, I'm not saying que era natural or normal for her, pero it was kind of like,
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do, you know? Anyway, so este muchacho he was very nice to me. He was very nice to me. Todavía me acuerdo, tenía un lunar aquí bien bonito. Y when I left in Mexico, I reconnected with him.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it was very interesting porque pues ya los dos más grandes y todo eso. Pero we never met up. It was just like, because I was in Mexico, my Facebook sort of like started suggesting me people that were around it. You know how weird that gets?
Yeah.
And so me salió él on my Facebook friends. And I was like, oh my goodness, y todo eso. Pero we never hung around. Pero sí me dio mucha risa de que he was my first crush.
There,
and he was still there, living in the same place, you know, y todo.
He's a townie.
Yeah. So I think I got a really good start on crushes. Yeah.
So, okay, because
what about you?
So like in both of your both of your situations. Sorry, in your first crush, it was reciprocated.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it was.
It was not the case with me. I have two crushes that I can remember growing up. The first one, I don't want to say his name, you know, porque I don't want to reconnect. It's not like, because again, in both of these two young crushes, it was not reciprocated. So I think it had it been reciprocated and we could both look back at that time of like, oh, how cute, you know, I think it'd be different. So I had a next door neighbor, which I think I've already talked about on this channel. But anyways, so our next door neighbor was like 3 years older than me and I was 5. And I remember that we had a party and obviously my mom invited the neighbors. I mean, back, you know, nowadays, you know, I don't even talk to our neighbors. I'm not that person. Go into my house, leave, and that's it, you know. But at that time, estamos haciendo una carne asada, vénganse pa' acá, and blah, 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 right? And so they were there. And his brother was like best friends with my sister. Best friends, like literally. And his sister was best friends with my sister, my other sister. So they had different ages. And so he was closest to my age. And I was obsessed with him, like literally obsessed with him. And one of my earliest memories of corporal punishment is related to him. Ooh. Because that party, I don't know what came over me, but I was like, I'm going to kiss him. I'm going to get my first kiss today and it's going to be him. And so
wow,
I literally started chasing him. Like it became a game like I'm going to chase him. And I'm running around the backyard, the front, because back in the days, like, I remember us having parties where it was in the backyard, inside the house, in the front of the yard. Like, you could be in the street. Like, it was a whole thing, you know? And so I was, like, through the house and in the back and in the front, like, chasing up a tree, like, everywhere, you know? And I'm like, I'm gonna kiss him. I'm gonna get my kiss. So, oh my God, lo tenía tan traumado. And he ran to my sister eventually, the eldest. Irene, your sister's trying to kiss me. Please. Like, I mean, ya prácticamente he was probably like in distress, dude. Like, oh my gosh, like this kid is, and you know, like más te da como fastidia that it's a little girl and she's sweaty and she's like, I don't even know what I look like. Oh my gosh, my mom got so upset, you know, and I don't want to incriminate her or anything, you know, but that's like the first time I remember getting hit because my mom was like, oh my gosh, not only was this embarrassing and you made this kid feel like, you know, you were harassing him, but like, how embarrassing. Like, mi hija, you know, what is she going to grow up to be? You know, si ahorita en esta edad she's doing this, you know? And so my mom was like, oh no, I'm not going to have none of that, you know? Oh yeah, she saw the future. And so I never got my kiss. And I never got any whatsoever. After that, you best believe he never came around the house. Like, because he knew, okay, that little one is obsessed with me. I'm not going anywhere near that. That was my first ever crush in my life. And that was before school. So I was like 5 or 4. And then my first school crush was this kid in first grade. And I never confessed my love to him. I think I learned, you know, from the next door neighbor that, you know, I could put them in distress.
Keep it low.
You know? But with this one, he was just beautiful.
Oh.
He was just beautiful. This little kid, you know, he had most of his teeth, you know, because, you know, at that age, your teeth are falling. And so he had most of his teeth and he was very sporty and athletic and blah, blah, blah. And I'd love to do races with him so that I could be sporty too. And I remember that we were having an assembly and I wasn't the only one that liked him. There was another girl in my class that liked him también. And we were both like, ooh, we talk about him, but we're never going to tell him. And so I remember that I asked my teacher if I could go to the class to get my jacket because, I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe I was trying to make an excuse. And she was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And at that time, like, normally they don't let you go back to the portables unsupervised, but for some reason she let us. And so we were completely by ourselves in the classroom. And I remember that both of us are like, his sweater is right there.
This is going to go south real quick.
And so we looked at each other and like,
two psychos.
Yeah, two psychos. We didn't discuss anything, you know, we didn't plan this. It was just like, it's there, you know? And I can honestly, I don't want to say.
Wait. So you're telling me whatever is about to happen, you didn't.
No, it was telepathic.
It was
telepathic.
I'm telling you,
we were both
behavior.
Just kind of like. And we like got close to it, you know, and there was his name tag. I don't know if you remember when you were in kindergarten, you had your name tag and it had like an apple and a pencil and a ruler or whatever. And then you could open the desks and inside it had like your pencil box and your whatever. But on top of his desk was his sweater. And so I don't know who touched it first, but I have a feeling it was me because that's very me behavior. And so I literally was just like, and then I was just like, oh my gosh. And then I gave it to my friend or she gave it to me. And then, because I don't know who started it, but I know that at some point she did it too. And she was like, but this is why I know that, like, I'm so thankful that I mean, I liked, you know, BTS and One Direction and, you know, Justin Bieber. But in my head, it's like, thank God I never went through that, like, route of, like, posters. And because my mom would never let me have posters because eran ídolos. And so for me, it's like, if I ever met one of these, you know,
psycho behavior,
I would be that person of like, oh my God, it's a chicle. You spit it out. I'm on eBay trying to find a tissue. And so, like, again, like, I wonder sometimes. My mom always says whenever I like talk about my childhood and my weird phases, she's like, ay, mija, es que mirabas mucho Raven, mirabas mucho Hannah Montana, and no sé de dónde sacabas esas ideas. But like, yeah, like I wonder, like, what Like, why at that age? Like, did I go for the sweater? I don't understand, you know? But the fulfillment that I got from that sniff was crazy because I thought, that's it. You know, like I
If
will.
this is all I can get.
This is all I can get from this person, this closeness, this level of intimacy, I am fine. And I did. I was like, I was satisfied with just being his friend and, you know, talking and running with him. And that was it because I had sniffed his sweater. And, you know, this is obviously like before, like, I feel like nowadays first graders should have cologne because that's just the world we live in. But I don't remember what it smelled like. Like, it could have been sweaty. It could have been gross. It could have had cookies and dirt, you know, but I don't know.
Normal Downy.
Or normal. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. But yeah, and I went to middle school with him, I think. No. We went to the same high school. We skipped middle school. We went to different middle schools, and then I saw him in high school for like a year. Dude, la pena que me dio. Like, I'm like, oh my God, that was the kid that I went into the room with my friend and I sniffed his jacket or whatever. But those are my two, like, I remember those two crushes when I was young, and it was both not reciprocated.
I have another one where it wasn't reciprocated when I was in elementary. It was 6th grade.
Okay, ya estás
más grandecita. And now, I might be too, ¿cómo se dice? Too conceited. I might be too conceited because till this day, I think he did like me. It just things never really flourished.
Nothing came out
of it. Because neither of us made a move or anything. But, you know, I was thinking about him. Se llama Jesus. I really liked him. I had a huge crush on him. And I think I have a thing for bad guys. Because he was also a bad boy. He was also one of those, he would skip school. You know, I mean, we're older. You know, I was in 3rd grade when I liked Edgardo.
Right.
But I'm in 6th grade now. And he, by the way, Edgardo is still in the picture. It's just we're not. He's not my
love
anything
interest
anymore. Yeah, he's not my love interest anymore. But he still treated me like his friend.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, he still like siempre me decía, Lula, ¿a dónde vas? You know, cosas así. But Jesus, he would always be. He will miss school. When he was in school, he would get in trouble. No much respect for the teacher, you know. But I remember what made me like him, because up until then he was just a friend. He was just like, oh, he's a friend of another friend that I knew he liked me, but I was like, no. So it wasn't, you know, whatever. But and he was cool, you know. He was usually never there, so there wasn't a lot of interactions.
Yeah.
But I remember one time we had a family, like, parents would go and talk to the teacher. It was like a parent, they call it parent nights or something.
Yeah. It's I don't know why I can't remember. Back to school night. Yeah,
right?
That's what it's called. Yeah.
Back to school night. So they have that over there in Mexico too. So we had a back to school night. Parents would go, and his mom gets there with her head covered. And I don't know why, but a lot of people made a big deal about it. I don't know why. And so all I see is him getting out upset. Like, I have never seen him upset, you know. Pues, para empezar, ni iba.
Yeah.
Entonces, I don't know why, lo seguí. So I followed him, and all I see him is crying in the stairs. Oh. My heart broke, and I'm like, oh my God. And I was wild that day. Me senté next to him y le dije yo, ¿qué tienes? He started crying more.
Oh, no.
Y he started telling me, es que yo no quería que mi mamá viniera. Mi mamá no debería de estar aquí. Y yo, ¿pero por qué? ¿Es por tus grados? ¿Porque no tienes buenas calificaciones? Y le hace, no, a mí me vale, yo no me importa, yo ni quiero venir a la escuela. Le dije yo, entonces, ¿por qué? Dice, es que tiene cáncer. Ella no debería de estar aquí. Dude, cuando me dijo eso, ay, no, yo nomás... I mean, we were children. Yo no sabía what cancer was. Like, I mean, I knew it was a disease that kills people, pero no sabía, like, really the scope of it. Him living with someone that had cancer probably obviously knew a lot more than I did.
Wow.
So entonces empezaba a decir, es que ella no debería de estar aquí, ella debería estar descansando, ¿por qué viene a estos lugares? Todo el mundo se le está quedando viendo porque no tenía pelo.
Oh my God.
Y yo, no, pero, y pues obviamente yo, o sea, que tenía, ¿qué? 11 años, no sabía qué decirle al muchacho. Y nada más me acuerdo que lo abracé. I put my arm around him y lo abracé. And he buried his face on like on my chest aquí. And he hugged me too y empezó a llorar más. Y after that, I feel like I developed a very soft spot for him. Like it was just like,
Claro.
like, or no solamente a soft spot for him, pero I understood
why he was
he was. I understood. Y after that, more things started coming up porque ya nos hicimos como más amigos y luego me decía, oh, mañana no voy a venir. Y yo, ¿por qué? Dice, me voy a ir a trabajar. Y yo, ok. Entonces, para mí eso siempre fue bien raro. Yo decía, ¿por qué está trabajando? Made sense. Su mamá no podía. Alguien tenía que trabajar. Entonces, tenían un puesto en un tianguis de ropa y él iba y ayudaba. Y entonces, o sea, muchas cosas después de eso más me hicieron como admirarlo en a way, como like, ay, o sea, está de la misma edad que yo y él ya viviendo problemas de un adulto, por así decirlo. Entonces, we never like confessed our feelings for each other, but I feel like we did, like, because a lot of times he walked me home, not just a mí, pero a mí y a mi hermana, a Kelly. Mm-hmm. He would walk us home. He sometimes on Saturdays mornings he would knock on my door y ahí estaba y salíamos a jugar con él y todo, y very rare, you know. And so y siempre like he would always be like, Lula, y llegaba y me abrazaba así, o high fives y todo eso. Pero again, conmigo era bien diferente porque con mis otras amigas ni les hablaba, les hacía caras, con las maestras bien disrespectful, you know. It was just like, ay, yo ni voy a venir. A lot of times he walked right out of class, like just because, like he didn't want to be there. It's like, I'm leaving. Y se iba. Pero antes de irse siempre me decía, y yo, yeah.
I have to ask, what happened to his mom?
I think she died. I'm not too sure because I stopped contact with him after like 3 years that we moved back to the U.S. The last thing I knew is that she was in sort of like in a hospice. Like, ya no había mucha hope for him.
So he lost her young.
I feel like he did. Yeah.
Did he have a father?
I don't think so. I don't think so porque he never talked to me about her. And you know,
was just that one.
Sorry guys, it got really dark real quick.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh. Like when you were talking about her head covering, I'm like, I know where this is going.
But it was just that was the crush that
was more meaningful.
It was, yes, it was more meaningful. I don't feel like regret for not having confessed my feelings or anything, because again, I might be conceited, but I knew deep down there I had a special place in his heart. Yeah, you know, and he had a special place in my heart. I mean, you know, at such a young age, and for him to live that, and for me to have that ability to sort of give comfort, se me hizo bonito. And so, yeah, de ahí.
It also tells you of how a lot of kids go through things that hard and that deep at such a young age, and you don't really know what they're going on at home, you know. And it's very easy for someone to judge and look and be like, you know, and he's over here worrying about her health, and, you know, people are here judging her because she's wearing this, like, I know, ahí ya tienes toda una novela, like, that's so
and
hard.
I think where we also attached with each other was that we found a lot of middle ground in the fact that we as children would get judged because of our parents, and we found it unfair. Like, for example, I remember moms would talk about me and my sister because we didn't have a father and we didn't have a mom that was present. And so, I mean, back then it was like, es que está divorciada. Es que, por ejemplo, yo era de la escolta. Bueno, la escolta is like a marching band.
In my baton.
Ajá. Yo era la que cargaba la bandera. O sea, for you to carry the flag, you had to be the best out of that group, out of the marching band.
So it was a big accomplishment.
It was a big accomplishment. It was a big thing. And I remember, like, sometimes I would forget some aspect of my uniform, my gloves, my hat, something. I would always forget something. Y siempre era, porque no tiene mamá, porque no está su mamá, porque no está su mamá. Porque no están divorciados. Porque no
¿Y tú entendías lo que like, te lo decían en tu cara?
They would say, maybe not to me directly, but they would say it loud enough for me to hear it. I mean, it was even in front of Kelly. Kelly would always help me dress up y todo eso, y quitarme la ropa y todo eso. Y lo decían enfrente de ella. Ella más chiquita que yo. You know, and so for him, when I saw that with him, I thought, I know how that feels. I know how it feels to know they're judging your mom or you even for something you didn't do, for something that's without your control. So I think we bonded in that sense as well. And really, I think I just like bad boys. I think I like the fact that with me they were different. Yeah. They were bad boys to everyone else, but with me they were caring, they were nice, they were courteous, they were. I mean, te digo, el otro Edgardo, even though that never amounted to anything. Till my 6th grade, he was still very like, Lula, nice. ¿Qué haces? ¿Y dónde vas? Y, very friendly. And so I think I developed crushes based off of like, con todo mundo puede ser diferente, pero conmigo es especial. Ajá.
That's sweet, honestly. Ya casi, no te miento, you tugged at my heartstrings. If we had put like sad music to that, I think I would have cried. Man, I feel like a lot of my stories are humorous because they're kind of ridiculous, in the sense that, I feel like I had a very, we've talked about this creative mind, and so I think a lot of my behavior was just outlandish. There. Yeah. It was really out there,
you have one, like, older?
That was reciprocated?
Maybe not.
No, see, that's the thing. For the most part, in school, all of my love interests were fairly non-reciprocated, because in middle school and high school, I had that love crush where not only was it never reciprocated, but I was always the friend. In middle school and in high school, I had developed feelings for my close guy friend, and they were always looking at the pretty girl in the friend group. And I always played the role of, she's going to like you one day. Just try this, try that. And I was genuine. In that, I can say I did not sabotage and I did not lie and I did not try to, take over, because for me was very, very innocently, I guess, I thought, they're going to see me, good. They're going to see my genuine heart. And they're going to one day realize that I'm the one, like that
I've been
girl,
the one all along.
So you play You Belong Me from Taylor Swift, or you Belong to Me. Because that's what I did, with middle school, it's not such a sob story. But in high school, honestly, like, we had great conversations, but I know, ahora ya tengo más confidence, y gracias a Dios que me casé, and it proves. Pero I was not pretty in high school. I was not very pretty in middle school. I was still going through my phase of getting to know myself, and I didn't know how to dress. I didn't know how to do my hair. So for the record, I didn't have curly hair growing up. I had straight hair growing up. I got curly hair when I hit puberty. And so can you imagine, from 12 and on, I had straight hair at the bottom and curly hair growing out. So I had frizz and it was bad. And then, those memes of girls where they're like, I look good, mom. Like, I look good. And then the whole back is like not even straightened. But this front part is all straightened, but this part isn't. That was me. I can't even tell you how many times. To this day, there are days that I'm like, babe, can you check it? Because like, I don't know if I straightened it. And so, yeah. And so I remember like, I would try. I would really try to look nice. I still remember, I guess the silliest thing I tried to do to impress my guy friend was, because I had just gotten baptized, when I got baptized when I was 12, but I didn't start wearing like officially skirts, till I was really like in high school almost. Like I wore skirts in middle school, but it really hit in high school. Like I told myself I'm going to wear skirts. And imagine, okay, try to envision Kes, okay? Most of the time I had a ponytail. I had a jean skirt from Ross, tennis shoes with socks like right here, not even like nowadays that they're cute and you wear Converse or something. No, like tennis shoes. And I would have like a t-shirt and a sweater, just like that. And that's all I would really wear. And I was chunky. And I had my chipmunk face very así, so and I was a great friend and we had great group friends, but I wasn't the pretty one, There were girls that even at that age, they knew how to dress, they knew how to do their makeup though. El caso es que I remember one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to wear jeans today. And I don't know where I got skinny jeans, to be quite honest. I don't know if I borrowed it from someone or if I bought them. I have no idea. But I wore skinny jeans that day. And I remember like, it didn't even matter what I was wearing, a shirt I was wearing, just the simple fact that I was wearing jeans. Everyone was like, oh my God, Kez, you're wearing jeans, And all day I was like, he's going to notice me. He's going to notice me, Today, it's going to be the day. And he wasn't there. He wasn't there, dude. And everyone made a fuss of everything. And I had told myself, like, I'm not going to do this again. It's just going to be this one day. And maybe that's my hook, He didn't show up. He did not show up. And it was so sad. All through high school, he was my friend. And I always encouraged him to go for his crush. I had pictures with him and everything. But nothing ever amounted to it. And even in like my yearbook, he didn't even write anything meaningful. He didn't even write anything like, you were a great friend or something. I think he wrote something like, I'm going to miss you, quesadilla. Maybe that's why I don't like quesadilla. But like he said something like, I'm going to miss you, quesadilla. Hope you have a great summer. Maybe we might reconnect or something in college if we don't become strangers. I think he wrote something like that. It was literally like not even, and I had intentionally thought on the last day of high school, I'm going to tell him that I like him. No opportunity ever happened because I think I came to terms like he's always going to like the other girl. And it was like a triangle. I liked him, he liked her, and she liked someone that she never ended up with either. And so it was like a never ending cycle of just like, we're never going to end up with a person.
Been there.
So
been there where you're looking at someone and that someone else is looking at someone else.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And someone else is looking at me too. Something similar happened to me in high school too.
With like a love triangle kind of?
Not just that, but like when you decide to change your look for at least that one bit. And then it turns out, that wasn't it. So for me, it was my freshman year. I think freshman or sophomore, no me acuerdo bien. So I'm hanging out with, this group of friends that very passive aggressive girls, and there was this guy, se llama Ricardo.
Ooh, she's throwing names.
I'm throwing names. Se llama Ricardo. Y él quería igual a la más bonita de nosotras, pero he got along with me. He met me first.
Okay.
Because we had a class together. So, oh my God. He was a clown of the class. Oh, Jesus.
You see a pattern,
I have a type. Oh my gosh. but he wasn't a bad guy. He was just a clown
he was
of the
just
class.
funny.
He was just funny. He
laid
was just,
back.
Very laid back. He was respectful, pero igual no le importaba mucho la escuela. I do have a type. Oh my gosh. Anyway. So we became friends because we had to be together for a project.
Okay.
And obviously, siendo yo la matadita del grupo, he's like, hey, me acuerdo que, y me dijo, hey, pues yo estoy bien burro. Yo no voy a saber mucho, pero
You're going to do a great job.
Ajá, y me hace. Y yo, okay, fine. And so the whole time I'm working, and I'm telling him, like, you're going to say this when we present it, porque si se ve que no sabes, nos van a dar a todos, blah, 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 blah. He's like, no te preocupes, yeah, like, I got this. And then it's so funny because I don't know if this happened to you, but in Oxnard High School, they had a thing of, like, they had cliques, right?
Oh, yeah.
But they had names for the cliques in Oxnard. And he was part of the Playa Thugs. That's how they call themselves.
Oh my God, the Playa Thugs? Okay. No.
That's what they call themselves. And I think, and he was part of it. Those guys that had he was a pretty boy, pretty much. He was a pretty boy. He was a pretty boy, but he was the clown of the class. So that was very interesting to me, because pretty boys usually tend to be very aloof, very like, I don't talk to you because you're not up to par, whatever.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. He was a pretty boy, tenía sus aretes y todo y así, pero he was very friendly, very, and I mean, I'm telling you, he was the clown of the class. So anyway, so he's like, yeah, porque yo no puedo, me decía, I can't invest time on this, like, I got things to do, okay, whatever, So I'm over here coaching him, okay, tienes que decir esto, blah, 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 blah. So we got along in that sense. Then, one day, he goes up to me to say hi, because I don't know why. And, obviously, I'm like, oh, my God, he say hi to me, blah, 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 blah. He sees my friend.
Oh, man.
And my friend and him, dude, I saw it live. I was like, they clicked. Like, it happened right there.
In front of your face.
In front of my face. And I was like, and in a way, I was sort of like, I get it. She is prettier. It wouldn't have made sense, So, pero it was very quick, like, oh, who's this? Y ya se la presenté y todo eso. Okay. Y él le dijo a ella, oh, I'm part of the Playa Thugs. Like, that's where we hang out. You can say it whenever you want. Come and say hi to my table. Like, all my guys would be nice to you. Blah blah blah.
Oh my God.
And she also fit the type.
Playa Thugs sounds like cholos. Like, I'm surprised.
No, they were pretty boys.
Pretty boys, but
they were pretty boys. Porque no, había cholos en Oxnard High School. Like Jet, los pantalones hasta acá, like really old school cholos. Those were handsome. Yeah. Those were handsome cholos, like, con los pantalones hasta acá, bien así. No sé si se me miraban bien. Pero estos no. Estos, they were just pretty boys, con los aretes, con cadenas. I think they want to be rappers in a way. That sort of style, hair all con gel back y todo eso. Y algunos se hacían designs.
Okay, I'm getting the picture. Yeah, I got the picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you guys getting the picture? I hope you're getting the picture. He's tall. He's very tall. I think back then he was 6 feet, I think.
Yeah.
So that made him just more very handsome. I mean, whatever. Anyway, and she fit that type of crowd in a way.
Yeah.
Ella se sabía hacer su pelo, todo el tiempo full face of makeup. No había ni un día que she wasn't, like, she was dolled up every single day. And she fit that kind of crowd. So to me, that's why it wasn't like, oh, no, like, no, that what? Like, it wasn't a surprise. It was like, okay, I get it. Yeah. She fits the mold, to be a girlfriend of one of those.
Yeah.
So anyway, next day I get to class and he's all up on me. ¿Y cómo se llama? Y le dije, ¿no le preguntaste? He's like, no, yeah. Y, and he's like, ¿y qué le gusta? And like, how can I approach her better? I don't know, dude. He's like, dude, you need to help me out. Like, you're her friend. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll help you out. I helped them out.
Of course you did.
I helped them out. And, they start talking. I think they exchanged number. Le dije a mi amiga, hey, like, he wants your number. And she's like, oh, my God, of course. Y todo eso. So I facilitated that. And, but here's the day that broke me. The day that broke me was when I changed my style. I decided to straighten my hair. Because these girls would do it very often. They were also
Curly hair,
but she knew how to do her curls. Like my curls were always dry and así caídos.
Okay.
Because igual, just like you, oh my God, I just found out this out. Just like you, I turned curly when I was 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I didn't know. My freshman year, I turned curly. I had no idea what I was doing with my hair. And I would do a lot of gel sometimes. Y se miraba mojado y tieso. You know, that look where you...
Still in that phase?
You know, that look where you move and it feels like it's moving with you.
Yeah.
And then... so my hair wasn't nice. You know, no me sacaba las cejas de aquí, like no me las hacía.
Bushy.
You know, bushy. Obviamente, I never did makeup, like not even my eyelashes, nada.
Glasses, no glasses?
Glasses all the time with glasses.
Chunky or thin?
Chunky, a little bit, you know, more.
Not that there's anything wrong with chunky.
No. Muy morenita todavía, porque I know people think that, ay, no, que blanca, pero no, I don't know why me hice blanca with time. Pero yo estaba morenita in high school, morenita. And
Nothing wrong with being morena.
Nothing wrong with that, pero mi amiga, dude, she was no white. You know, she was very into curls, super, like, dude, her hair was this big.
Oh my God.
Beautiful, like long, luscious curls. She knew how to do them. Cuando se hacía el pelo suelto, se miraba hermosísima. Like, just... It was just like, why, you know? But she was, well, anyway. And, you know, he's all about her y todo eso. So I get there one day, me alació el pelo. Le dije a mi hermana, alásame el pelo. Yes, of course, you know, me lo alació. Super long. I feel like I look beautiful. I had just, my mom up until then, nada más nos compraba de la segunda. No, nothing wrong with buying from thrift stores.
Still do.
I still do. But there was nothing new. You know, like it was always something like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times those friends were like, oh, you have a grapa in your
¿Qué es eso?
Staple. Oh, you have a staple.
That's right.
Because of the segunda.
La engrampadora, ¿verdad?
Ajá.
Yeah.
Y le dije yo, oh, ya me la quitaba. Y le decía, oh, you shop at the thrift stores? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, you know, whatever. Anyway. And so that day I had begged my mom por una blusa nueva. Mom, una blusa nueva, por favor, así bonita y todo eso. Okay, she says, okay, fine. You know, me compra una blusa nueva. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, my favorite jeans me puse, my favorite shoes con la blusa y todo eso, my hair straight, todo eso y todo eso. And I'm sitting in Spanish class. I had these two girls, the curly one y la otra, su amiga, for Spanish class. And I'm sitting in there. And my friend is talking about how great this guy was throughout the weekend. They had just hung out.
Oh my gosh.
He bought her ice cream. Y que he went all out with her. And I was just like, you know, he bought me flowers, blah, 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 blah. Y yo, oh, you know, that's nice. And he's like, you know, y no me acuerdo, I don't know what else she was telling me. But I remember the whole time I was just like, oh, okay, yes, qué bueno, you know, whatever.
Trying to hold in the tears.
And so she gets up, she leaves. No sé si se fue al baño, I don't know. All I remember es que la otra amiga voltea y me dice, ¿te gusta Ricardo, huh? Y yo, no. You know, obviously with that no of like, yes. And she's like, I know you do. You do like him. I know. I can tell it. You wouldn't look the way you look today if you didn't. Y yo,
oh, she called it.
She called it. And me quedé callada. You know, me quedé callada. And she said, well, he's never going to like you. Yeah, she said that to me.
Oh my God, Luna. And you hung out with these girls?
Yes, for another year.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, okay. Y me acuerdo que le dije, I don't want him to. And she laughed. She's like, I'm like, okay, then, you know, just keep in mind that's the other girls. Y yo, okay, she can keep him.
Oh my God.
And dude, this whole time, not only was I already, you know,
holding back
my tears porque they were already like in love y que no sé qué. But the other friend that I thought was my friend, quote unquote, she not only did she catch me on my feelings.
She was like, tu idea is laughable.
But she was like, that's never gonna happen.
Wow.
Not for you. Like, y me dijo, he's never gonna like you. Y yo, okay. dude, I remember that day I went home, I cried. I cried. I was like, good. ¿Pa qué quiero que me quiera? And then after that, I saw them date for a whole year. I saw them date for a whole year.
Ay, Lula.
Oh,
so sad.
But, it was sad. Yes, it was sad. But right now, it's.
I mean, yeah, obviously, you know,
back then
nostalgia.
it was sad. But I think it made me realize that one, they weren't really my friends.
Clearly,
and two,
superficial friends.
Yeah,
catch last week's episode.
Yeah, and two, it made me realize that what I saw in him wasn't really, because it wasn't ever his face, if I'm being honest.
Oh,
it was him being funny. It was him being confident. It was him being himself despite lo que dijera la gente. You know, that's what I liked about him. Again, I have obviously, we just proved today that I have a tendency to go for the bad guys. And so, but he was friendly enough with me, you know?
Right.
He was friendly enough. And then obviously, once he had an interest, he was overly friendly. Mm-hmm. He was overly like, ¿qué le gusta? Y dime. Y he would put his arm around me. Me decía, ay, no, pero cuéntame más de ella.
Okay,
y qué hace yo. Okay. So in a way, I feel like I also took advantage of that because that was the only way
you guys could talk.
We could talk, you know.
You had a common interest per se.
Exactly. So in a way, I me quedé con, I'm just going to be his friend. I'm just going to be his friend.
Yeah.
And
te conformas, man.
Yeah.
Con lo que puedes. It's like the sniff, man.
Exactly. But I mean, I think I would have liked the sniff.
That is self-control. You know, and props to any of you who are that friend, and you just hold it in, and you're like, I'm gonna be a genuine friend, and I'm not gonna sabotage.
I never said anything to the other friend. I'm pretty sure they talked. I'm pretty sure that one that confronted me told her, hey, she likes him, blah 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 blah. However, she never actually went up to me to say that's not gonna happen. Don't even go there.
Very mean girl vibes, like Regina George, you know, like, oh, you like him, and then the next day she's dating him.
Yeah,
you know?
Oh, definitely. But I do remember my other friend, my friend that I'm still friends with her, and that, you know, I remember that she was there. She was kind of like, ni modo, you know, a veces no se hace, you know, yeah, I'll move on y todo eso. Pero, no, o sea.
And she rose from the ashes, and she's this gorgeous.
Yes.
La hermana Rosita.
La hermana de Rosita. Pero, o sea.
Hey, sometimes it's not always a good thing to have gotten your high school crush.
Oh, definitely.
Because they could be a stalker.
Moving on to another story, or what? Is that the way you're opening up? Guys, this is a good one.
No, okay. So I shouldn't say he was a stalker because he didn't follow me. Stalker is a tough word, but I call him a stalker. Mm-hmm. So there was a guy. This is not the guy that I was in love with for 4 years. There was a guy from high school that I knew of. He was popular. He was handsome. I knew of him y todo. But we never crossed paths. Like never, ever, because I had my nerd clique, and he was in the cool kids. We skipped school and the playa thugs, basically. And I always thought he was very handsome, but I never interacted with him. So years later, after high school, or about a year later, actually, if you think about it, because I started the life group, I think, when I was 18. Mm-hmm. So we're doing a Bible study at the house. And I've been doing this recurring, and catch embarrassing stories too, I think, for a story from the life group. And I'm doing my thing. But now I have blossomed. I am gorgeous. I'm pretty now.
You know how to do your hair.
I'm confident. I know how to straighten my hair, you know? And so one of the youth invited him because they were friends from high school. So I remember I see him walking in and I felt nervous. I felt like, whoa, I know this guy from high school. He was super popular. He was super handsome. It's like, he's not a high school crush per se, because a crush, I think you have more interaction and more time. But he was someone handsome from high school. And so I remember, you know, like I was just like, oh my gosh, she's in my house. That is so trippy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being the life group leader that I was, like, oh, you know, God bless you, you know, good to meet you, you know, hi, my name is Kez, you know, and I'm like, did you go to Pacifica? And they were like, yeah, I did, you know, no names. and you know, they were like, yeah, I'm like, I remember you. And again, I'm in a different phase in my life, so I'm confident, you know. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I remember you. You were really popular in high school. And they were like, nah, not even. It wasn't even like that, you know. I was like, no, really? I remember there was a lot of girls that liked you. And they were like, no, it's not even like that, you know, very bashful, humble. You know, humble, I guess. And so I felt very like confident, not like I'm confident that you could like me. Mm-hmm. Just like, yes, it was kind of weird to have a person that I thought was handsome in high school in my house, but I'm not going to drool over you the way that I used to drool over people that didn't like me back. You know,
I've
grown, you know,
I've matured.
And very quickly, maybe that confidence, you know, maybe that, you know, like, oh, this girl, who is she? Mm-hmm. He started liking me. And it was very apparent, very, very apparent. I mean, I remember like giving the Bible study, and he was sitting there with this like, you are the last coca en el desierto for me right now. Dude. And I don't know if you guys have ever been on the receiving end of admiration, nice. But it's nice to feel that of like, wow, you know, so I'm here doing my thing. You know, this is past the hugging phase of that one situation, you know, so I'm already like, you know, doing my thing. And they, you know, he comes up and he's just like, hey, I really enjoyed your Bible study. You know, I'm getting connected at church, and, you know, he's tall, you know, he's handsome y todo. And he's like normal, you know? So I was like, okay, this could be someone, you know, for me, but we'll see how this goes. So he started coming to church, you know, and stuff like that. And, you know, we would have conversations. You know, I'd invite him to the life group. You know, hey, we have youth stuff. We have real time. We have, you know, whatever. And he started going, you know, normal. And we had,
it wasn't.
And we had services, you know, so he'd go. Anyways, so he'd start to sit next to me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think that was weird. I mean, obviously, it's not very common for the boys and the girls to sit next to each other unless there's some kind of interest or they're dating. But for the most part, the girls just sit together and the guys just sit together. And so at first I was very proud because I was like, oh my gosh, like he doesn't care who thinks about him or talks about him. He's standing next to me. And I remember that we went to IHOP with his friend, who was our friend, and another mutual friend. And we're going there, and his whole behavior is starting to be very protective, you know, very like, siéntate acá, you know, like sit over here, you know. And I was like, at first I was like, ooh, you know, like, okay, he's nice, you know, he's protective, right? And so that whole day I was just, you know, I was telling my mom, hey, you know, this could be something, you know, blah, blah. And I remember that we even went with other people to like a wax museum or something like that. So we had like some kind of a hangout and blah, blah, blah. Again, super slow. I'm very like, we're just getting to know each other. That's it. And on one actually, no, prior to that, he was actually starting to request very strategically, hey, I need some more one-on-one time. Like, I want to learn more about the Bible. I was wondering if you could, like, kind of tutor me, per se, about the Bible. You know? So I was just kind of like, he's like, more of, like, salvation and stuff. So I was like, sure. So he come over to the house. And literally, like, I remember one Bible study que nunca se me va a quitar. I remember telling him, like, we need to know the difference between literal and symbolic context. So there was a scripture that says, if your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. If your arm causes you to sin, cut it off. And I remember telling him, like, is it a literal command or is it a symbolic command? And he was like, literal? And I was like, no. I mean, you're not going to physically take out your eye. You know, it just means, like, you know, you have to hear the severity in it. So I remember him, like, talking to him. Again, normal.
So you thought.
So I thought. One service, he gave me some Taylor Swift's perfumes that I'll never forget, and like a watch I think he got me. And I started to be like, oh, that's nice. You know, he's pursuing. And then one day, he stayed longer than he should have in the Bible study, saying that he was going to get picked up later. And so it was just my family. Everybody had already left. He just told him, oh, my ride's, you know, going to be here. People had offered to take him home, but he didn't. He stayed for like 2 hours after the Bible study. It was already like 10.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, yeah, I may have liked some attention. I may have thought he was attractive, but I don't like this person. Like, I'm in love with him or anything. I'm just getting to know him. And so the whole family's there, my brother-in-law, my sister, my mom, my dad. And he's just like, so what do I got to do to date Kez? Just like that. And I was like, what? Like, we haven't even talked about this. You know, I've only known you for like 3 weeks, you know?
Gosh.
Like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah. Because like, I really want to date her to like marry her. Dude. And I want to say I know I always say I'm 16, but I want to say I'm 18, 19 or something, you know, maybe even 20, you know, but like, I was just kind of like, whoa, like, what are you doing? You know?
What are you?
And my sister was like, what do you mean? You know, kind of looking at me like, hey, you know, is this someone that you're interested in? And I was just kind of like, no, like I've never even talked about this, you know. Yes, I've accepted a few gifts. Yes, you know, maybe there's a little mild flirtation or whatever, but nothing like this, you know. And I don't even think we texted beyond like, hey, the study's happening, you know. So my sister, my mom, you know, obviously saw my face, and she was like, well, you know, we're not allowing her to date until she finishes her college. And he's like, so how long is that going to be? You know, and my dad was like, well, I think you need to confirm that with my daughter. You know, if you guys are talking, you know, then she would know, you know. So I was just kind of like, hey, you know, like, no, it's like, no, like, I just kind of like, I was just weirded out. I was like, I think you should go home, you know. And, you know, he left, and I was so weirded out after that. I was just like, that is the weirdest thing. After that, things went south, dude. Like, now I felt uncomfortable. I remember that, you know, every time I would see him, I would try to avoid like anything. Because before I used to greet him with a hug. After that, I would greet him with like a shaking of the hand, and he would go in for the hug. And I'd just be like kind of like, what? So I started avoiding him because he would come and find me just to hug me. Like, literally, like.
Wait. Full circle.
What do you mean?
With the guy the little kid you were following around?
Oh my God, you're right. Oh my God.
Full circle. Oh my God. Epiphany right now. An epiphany right now. You were chasing, then you were chased.
Ooh. I was the creepy one.
Now they were
creepy. Yeah, dude. No, dude. It took youth leader intervention.
Oh.
My best friend Joel at the time. I mean, Joel, I remember because we were just friends at the time, you know? And so I remember Joel being like, I'm going to stand next to you. And, you know, he liked me, obviously. I'm going to stand next to you, and I'm not going to let him hug you, you know? Like, and I remember that there were many times like, God bless you. Just kind of like, you need to leave. And I think Joel one time le dijo, he's like, she doesn't want to hug, bro. Like, kind of like, just leave her alone. And I'd literally physically, my body language was just like, leave. You know, Joel actually got me a pepper spray because of him. My first pepper spray was because of this guy, because it stopped being funny. It stopped being fun. It got to a point where I was like, dude, you know, and at some point he just left. He stopped going to church, you know, he moved somewhere or whatever. But very creepy behavior, like very like out of nowhere, dude, out of left field, was just kind of like talking to my family, not even looking at me, just trying to like, hey, so when can I do this? When can I do that? And blah, blah.
Talk about delusional.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And that was every single time, like, I would sing up there, and the whole time, dude, he would sit in the front, like he would be in the front and just kind of like me miraba así, like just kind of like, I'm singing, just kind of like, oh, don't look at him. Like, just, it got weird. It really got weird. And it... Did
he make church an awkward place? Like, did you ever feel like, man, I really don't want to go?
I think, yeah, for a little bit. You know, the good thing is that I always communicated. And so I think that helped. I think that I had people that protected me. You know, the youth director had a conversation with him. You know, I don't know if I ever told like pastor. I mean, he wasn't like, I wouldn't say like sexual harassment or anything like that, you know, but he definitely made me feel uncomfortable. And I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like the feeling of like I have to run away and hide just so that I can avoid this person, you know? And it was so weird because it's like, this is someone that from high school I thought was really cute. This was someone that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're in my house. And at some point I was so excited and I was like, bro, like I'm getting to know you, you know? So yeah, sometimes your crush liking you back from high school is not always a good thing. No.
Wow. Well, my goodness, I do have stories where
obsession
with not obsession, but where I was someone's interest. You know, I was someone's love interest,
and you didn't reciprocate.
And I didn't reciprocate. Yeah. So I have one when I was in college, and he was the cousin of a coworker. No, a coworker married or was dating at the time. Because I used to be an English teacher for adults, and she was my coworker, and she married a student. She married her student. So one day she invited me and another friend to go out with them, and we went out. But he brought along his cousin. So his cousin and we got along pretty well. We hung out one more time with them, and by that time he was already like, ¿qué quieres que te compre? Yo voy a ir al mall. Te compro un, you know, it was just like he really like, okay, yes, did I have a soft spot because he's from Sinaloa? Yes, I did.
Oh, I remember this. Okay,
yes, I did. He would talk to me in Spanish de usted. Was that attractive? Yes, it was. Okay, yes. Okay. Todo el tiempo, ¿qué va a querer? ¿Qué le gusta? No, pues oye, o sea, para alguien que en la high school le dijeron, he's never gonna like you, obviously, this guy was like, oh my gosh, you know.
Treat you like a queen.
Yeah, no, dude, literally, o sea, by the third time we hung out, he was already like, te compro una bolsa, te voy a comprar una bolsa. Y yo, ¿por qué? Y me decía, pues porque eso es así es como se debe tratar a la mujer. La mujer se le debe tratar como la reina que es. Y me decía, ¿de cuál quieres?
How old are you?
Louis Vuitton, 23.
Oh, okay, you're older.
23, 24. It's like, he was younger than me. And I'm like, okay. Y me decía, no, o sea, yo tengo dinero. Y sí, manejaba una troca. O sea, he was the whole deal. And me dijo, no, lo que usted guste, mi reina. Lo que usted guste, yo se lo doy. Y yo, oh, okay. O sea, at first it was nice.
Yeah,
you know, at first, cuando me hablaba de usted, cuando me decía que le gusta, que le compro, tiene frío, yo la cuido y todas así. O sea, sí. Ya después, when he started saying things like, te compro una bolsa, he wanted to buy me a Louis Vuitton. I was like, okay, no.
Why?
And then he said, y cuando me dijo, porque así se le debe de tratar a una mujer, especialmente a una mujer hermosa como tú. Cuando me dijo eso, I was like, okay, bueno. You know, like it did cross my mind. I was like, okay, well, it doesn't sound as bad. But obviously, no, algo iba a querer. You know, and I was like, no, you know, like it was fun, the banter and everything. And the flirtation, sí, también, y todo. Y el hecho de que, you know, sí, from Sinaloa, y se miraba well put together, and, you know, guapito, güerito, ojos bonitos, you know, con su tejana y todo, y así. Sí. Pero ya cuando empezó con eso de que le voy a comprar una bolsa, y le voy a poner su, quién sabe qué, y no, yo a usted la voy a tratar como lo que se merece, y todo eso, ya dije yo, okay, ya no. Too much, ya no. Entonces, we stopped talking or we stopped hanging out porque we would always hang out with the other couple porque he was still her student. Okay. So it was one of those things where like I want sort of like witnesses, you know, por si nos llegamos a poner en problemas. Like I don't want people to think that it was, you know, outright like we were just doing shady things. So she would always invite us and that's how I would hang out with him. Pero yeah, it got to the point where even in those hangouts, he was just like very like out there with like, no, ¿qué quieres? Yo te lo compro y esto y aquello. And I'm like, oh, no, espérate. That was one. And then another one, someone showed love and or interest in me, and it wasn't reciprocated, or I couldn't bring myself to reciprocate that. But I would say this: he did a lot of things that would make any woman's heart flutter. Mm-hmm. It's just not this woman, I guess. But very cool guy, brought me flowers to work. He did a lot of gentle or chivalrous behavior that I was just like, oh, that's nice and everything. Unfortunately, pues,
just wasn't it.
It wasn't it. But it's one of those things where, in that case, sí sentí feo no poder, to not be able to reciprocate. Porque it wasn't as aggressive as with the other guy. Con el de Sinaloa, ese sí dije yo, no, nunca más.
Por favor.
No, por favor, no. Ya, y es más, ya no me gustaba que me hablara de usted. At some point I was like, no, háblame de tú. I'm older than you. Pero, well, maybe that's why me hablaba de usted, porque I'm older than him. But anyway, pero con este otro muchacho, sí me llegué a sentir mal porque yo dije, ¿por qué no puedo? Why can't I reciprocate if he's done this, he's done that, he's been trying and he's been putting in the interest? ¿Por qué? Porque, o sea, sí sentía feo. Porque yo decía, pues, ¿no se supone que es lo que I've been wanting? Someone's interest? And it wasn't like it was creepy. It was rather... It
wasn't like me.
It was rather
where
gentle.
You needed intervention.
Yeah, gentle and nice. So, sí hubo un poquito de frustration within me a veces of like, man, why can't I?
Yeah.
Why can't I? Obviously, pues solo Dios sabe por qué se dan las cosas o por qué no se dan las cosas. But
sometimes love is not reciprocated.
Sometimes,
yeah, I mean, attraction or just the same interest is just not. And I think it's a good thing, because I think that, even though this is the episode that's going to be, released before Valentine's Day, I think that, I'm thankful that I have my husband. But I think that these situations teach us that you need, like, in a sense, it's like that tough love of you're not always going to get what you want in life. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're going to be the friend. Sometimes you're going to be the one that, unfortunately, he doesn't notice, he doesn't look at, or you're going to be the person that I really wanted that, and it just didn't happen for me, And we don't always know the reasons, and maybe until later when you have perspective, like now that I'm married, and I think about what did work, what didn't work. I'm thankful, and I'm like, praise God, I did not end up with so-and-so. Praise God that was just a season, and that was just a lesson learned. But in that meantime, you're like, why?
Yeah.
Why didn't it work out? So I think in a sense, like, it's all a journey to get to where you need to get to.
Oh, yes.
So definitely. That you can appreciate and you can value, like, it's kind of what we mentioned in the last episode of, like, throughout all the friendships that I've had in the past, it prepared me for you. Mm-hmm. It now has allowed me to appreciate and value this friendship and protect this relationship more than ever because of what I've experienced and what I've lost. And now that I have Joel in my life, and how, eventually I will say that story of how, we fell in love, and how I, because in many ways with Joel, my love towards him was not reciprocated, and for many years, we were just friends. We were just growing. We were just, becoming the people that we needed to be to eventually re-meet later in life. For me to be like, oh my God, like, this is the person that I want to be with, and that's not everybody's story. But for me, it was like, you've always been here. You've always been that person that I was just too blind to see. And I'm thankful that I did see, that I changed, that he changed, And so I think that in a sense, if you find yourself this Valentine's Day without, a love interest or wherever by yourself, it's, I don't want to say for a reason, because sometimes that sounds so like you want to say that there's a reason for my pain, but at the same time, it's a journey.
Yes.
You're learning, you're growing, you're gaining some kind of information that you can take into the next season of your life. And when you eventually have that love, it's going to be like, honestly, I think the reason why it's so easy for me to talk about all of these stories, as ridiculous and as crazy and as confident as I may have been as young growing up, it's because of the fact that Joel invalidates everything. Like, because I have Joel, it's like, that doesn't matter. Like, that didn't mean anything. That, I mean, it helped me grow. It helped. Yes, I felt things, and yes, I grew from it, and yes, it was my first crush, and I smelled his sweater or whatever. But like, because of Joel, like, I now know what a relationship looks like. I now know what love looks like. And so I think sometimes not having that reciprocation is not always a bad thing, because it helps us also be humble and know where you're at, because that's another thing. You got to learn that, like, no siempre eres la última coca en el desierto para alguien.
Pero no, a veces no para el que quieres.
Pero no al que quieres, o no para todos, más bien. And hay veces que hay mujeres y hay hombres que dicen, no, I'm going to be, like, I am top notch. I am the most gorgeous. I am the most this. And I'm not going to give a chance to nobody. And they're 50 years old and you're like, bro, like, yes.
You should have given a chance to
You're amazing,
someone.
but you should have given a chance to somebody. That person was not that bad, And so I think that there has to be a balance in everything,
definitely.
So, yeah.
Should I settle then? No, just kidding. No, but I think you're right, because, for example, it wasn't until I myself experienced that older, not when I was a child, but older, when I experienced that not reciprocation, that I understood the guy that was after me. It wasn't until I myself experienced that bittersweet feeling of like loving someone and realizing that you're not enough for that person, that it's not enough, and that people's hearts change, and that they might have had an interest at some point, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna stay there forever, and that's okay. So it wasn't until I myself experienced, now as an adult, heartbreak, and I dealt with that, did I understood him, which is why I felt the more I wouldn't say anger at myself, but it was frustration of like, why, like, I just don't get it. But I also didn't feel like forcing myself to do it out of like, me voy a quedar sola, or just because desperation, porque suddenly someone me está dando attention. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for it, despite being heartbroken, and despite, in a way, having the opportunity to play with someone's feelings, to feel the validation, just to feel like I am loved. Maybe not by you, but I am loved and I am liked. I didn't. And I'm thankful that that I was able to go to that, experience that heartbreak and understand his feelings. Because I feel like a lot of the times, out of my own frustration of not being able to reciprocate, I felt frustrated with him as well. I was like, why? Why do you like me? Like, I'm not la última coca en el desierto. Like, I just don't get it. And I would feel frustrated. And now his feelings that were supposed to be his feelings felt like a burden to me. And that was unfair. That was very unfair, to feel like his feelings were a burden on me because I couldn't reciprocate.
Yeah.
That I learned that. I learned through heartbreak, through the heartbreak, I had to experience that my feelings could have been a burden to someone else. And because of that, I felt for that guy. I was like, I did this to him. Now, I was thankful that I never used him, and I was thankful that I never used any of the situation to validate myself, to feel like,
I got to make myself feel good again.
I gotta make myself feel good again. Again, self-awareness. I was very much self-aware of like, I do feel like doing it. I'm not gonna do it. I know I can do it, and I know, and maybe not just him, but other people can give me that validation. I'm not gonna do it because that's not where I should be finding validation.
That's not growth.
That's not growth. And so, and I am thankful for the heartbreak, because had it not been for that, I don't think I would have learned that his feelings were a burden to me, and how bad that was, how mean that was, how even in a way disrespectful that was, because it wasn't like he was asking me to reciprocate. It was just, I'm showing affection. That's it. Yeah. That's all, and I think I had to realize that when I also felt like my feelings were a burden to this other person, and I thought, and I got angry. I thought, but I'm not asking him to reciprocate. I'm not asking him to do something about it. These are my feelings. These are things that they're close to my heart. Why are you feeling burdened? Why are you feeling like, creeped out or whatever? Si son mis sentimientos y nunca te los puse on you. I would never push them down your throat. Why? But I had to experience that. I had to come to that realization to know I've been doing that to this guy. With that, unintentionally, yes. But I still did it. Yeah. And man, when I realized that, I felt bad on so many levels. Not only because I was just experiencing that heartbreak, but also because I thought it's a crappy feeling. It's not good. And I made someone feel that way. Yeah. I made someone feel like their feelings, even though they should have been private, or they should have been something that was out of his control, now they somehow were a pressure on someone else, and not a good pressure. Yeah. It was sort of like, and I feel bad. I felt bad about that. I felt, man, yeah, sure, I never used him, and I never used the situation, but I still hurt him. Right. I still made someone feel what I'm feeling right now, and it's not a good feeling.
With everything that you've experienced so far, with, your young crushes, your high school crushes, and obviously in your adult life, where does that leave you as far as hope for love and as far as hope for a relationship? What do you think that you've learned that you could say, I'm not going to look at this Valentine's Day with, the depressed and negative feelings, but what can you take from, this experiences that can take you into the next year of love?
I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful. I feel like, we were talking to one of our little friends, and she's going through a rough time too. And you said something that I voiced before. This too shall pass. And I think when I was going through the heartbreak, it felt like, oh my God, I'm never going to find love. And every once in a while se me sale todavía, because my nature for so many years was negativity. And so it's very hard, unless I'm very intentional, sale. My negative sides, it will come out. And so, yes, every once in a while, I'll make a joke that it's not so much a joke, but, it has some truth in there. I'll make a joke like, oh, yeah, I'll be the lady in the corner with 10 cats, or something like that. And I don't even like cats. That's how desperate I'll be. I don't like cats, but I'll have cats. Anyway, see, something like that.
Something along those lines.
Something along those lines, I'll make a joke. And that has some truth to it. But this year, and I think it goes along with what we were talking about resolutions. This year, I'm coming in with hope. And not just hope, but faith. That it might not happen this year. It might not even happen next year. It might not even happen within the 3 years that are coming in my life, But it'll happen. I know God has it in store for me. And not because he has to, not because I've done so much things to be good y para que él me ayude. No. But because I know that my best interest is always in his hands.
Yeah.
I know that in fact, si también no me quiere dar a nadie porque también dice, no, tú mejor sola, hey, Dios hágase tu voluntad. Pero I am more hopeful. I think I processed that heartbreak time in a very mature way. It made me realize a lot of things with other people as well. It made me realize that I'm capable of compassion. I'm capable of forgiveness. I'm capable of a lot of ¿cómo se dice? A lot of kindness. And I'm not saying this because yo soy la mujer más buena, pero I feel that I realized that it's not only, it was hard to forgive, but once I did it, it was easier after that. And so I feel like now, because I have that, it's easier for me to say, I will find it. I will find love, because I was capable of so much compassion and forgiveness and understanding while I was hurting. What am I not gonna be capable of when I'm blessed, when I'm happy, when I'm just así? Entonces quiero pensar que I have hopes. I have really positive hopes, really positive. I'm enthusiastic of what the year has ahead for me.
I'm very positive for your future. I'm very hopeful.
She's more hopeful and more positive than I am, if I'm being honest. But I do think que Dios me va a dar a mi esposito. Y voy a tener un matrimonio bonito. Mi esposote, ajá. Y maybe I need to break with a lot of things, maybe if I like bad boys, maybe I should start liking good guys, like I just discovered that I have a pattern.
You have a pattern. Yeah, she has a type.
I have a type, so maybe that's where I need to start. Maybe I need to cut all that and go for the nice guy,
I think, and I'm no expert, I'm on love. I just think that when it's God's timing, it's going to happen.
Right.
I think the only thing that we can do is when we are at a place in our lives where we are honestly like, okay, I'm open to this. Because for me, I can't say that it was like, oh my God, I had some kind of revelation per se, and now I'm ready, Lord. It wasn't even that. I have a video of it, which you can find on my personal Instagram if you follow me. Literally, we're down in Koreatown, and someone is singing Sam Smith, and it's not even a romantic song. It's actually a song about heartbreak. And he's singing, and I'm videotaping, and I videotaped to Joel. And it's almost like something just hit for me. And it was like, that's going to be my husband. I can't put that into advice. I can't put that in. If you do this, just pan the camera and record, and you'll see the stars, But in some small way, it's almost as if part of me was like, I'm done. I'm done with putting some kind of weird, excuse that I want superficial love or some kind of expectation of love that isn't real. Because again, I've mentioned this before. Joel was always there. Joel was always my friend. When we first met, he needed a lot of growth. I needed a lot of growth. So I don't think that had I said yes to him, it was the right time. I don't think I was. But when we were at an age where we've matured, we've grown in the Lord, a lot of things have changed. It's almost like, I'm like, what are you doing with your life? I'm ready to be open to the person that I think and feel and believe and have faith that can have the capacity to be my husband. And that's what happened. It was so instantaneous, Lula. And I will forever say this. I was just done. I was just done with, in many ways, playing games of just like, I'm going to find it here. I'm going to find it there. It's going to be a fairy tale or blah, blah, blah. And I saw him, and I really saw him.
Oof.
And
that's a good one.
And I'm thankful that that he let me see him, you know, because I have all these stories and I have all these, you know, experiences, but he could have been like, I'm done. You know, I'm done waiting for you. I'm done waiting for you to grow up and realize that I am enough, that I have the capacity to love you the way that God intended. And I'm thankful that I caught him in the moment, because he is my everything, you know? And it was so weird, because that night I told him, I want to be with you. I want to be with you. And it's so funny, because I'm so going to burn out, you know, his best friend right now. His best friend was like, don't go for her, bro. You know, don't go for her. She's, you know, made you wait all these years, you know, like, no, like, that's not how it works. But he had grace, and he was like, no, this is the person I want to be with. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give him my everything, my time, my heart, my dreams, my love. And he's going to be the person that I marry. And through a pandemic and through everything, like, this man never questioned marriage. He never said, oh, I don't want to marry this person. I don't want to have family with this person. It was almost like, no le asustaba, you know? And I remember one time, like, my mother-in-law told my mom, I know that he's in love because he wakes up happy to go to work, because he knows that he's working towards building a life with her. And, you know, now we're almost 3 years down the line. And I'm just, again, it's not something I can say, oh, I did this and it worked for me. But as simple as just like, I just woke up and I realized, like, I'm ready. I'm open. I'm available, in a sense, for true love, for true, real relationship. It happened for me, you know, and I'm just thankful that it did. And you know, again, this is the Valentine's Day episode. Sorry for crying, but whatever season, you know, you're in, it's gonna happen for you. You know, God has a perfect timing, you know, and only we know what it is that's holding us back from getting into that point, you know, because some of us might say, I'm doing everything. Why hasn't it happened to me? And it's like, if I was honest, there was a lot of things that I needed to let go, you know, for me to really, truly be ready for that season in my life. And sometimes we have to come to terms with that, you know. But as this episode has clearly gone, you know, a little bit over our time, you know, we want to encourage you guys to continue to support us and continue to, you know, like and subscribe and, you know, follow all our accounts. We're on Spotify, you know, we have our Instagram. But I'm going to let you close this one out and just, you know, wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day.
You know, it's very interesting because, and I meant to say it earlier, but you know, with all of this, I used to not like Valentine's. Now, not because I was bitter or anything. It's just I saw it for what it was, which is a very commercial capitalism. You know, these businesses, they play with your emotions. They play with your, you know, your all this and todo eso. Entonces I was very cynical about it, if I'm being honest. I was one of those that, oh, well, you know, you don't know the true story about Valentine's. Todo eso. And I remember my first year working at church. I had just told kids I don't believe in Valentine's Day. To me, it's just one of those days. Why should you just spend money on that one day on your partner? Like, it's just ridiculous to me, blah, 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 blah. She's like, oh, okay. No, yeah, you know, good for you, whatever. Come Valentine's, there's a teddy bear on my desk. And I'm like, really? She's like, really? And she's like, here's your gift for Valentine's. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I think what it is that here in the US, they really make it about like just love, like just romantic love.
Yeah.
In Mexico, they at least include us, the single people, with like, es el amor de la amistad. El día del amor y la amistad. You know, so it's not just about your loved one. It's also about, hey, my friend, I'm going to show you I love you, you know.
Yes.
So. But anyway, so I remember I remember that teddy. I still have that teddy bear, and it's like, it's a constant reminder that someone on Valentine's liked. I was someone's Valentine, and we didn't know each other as well as we do now.
No, we didn't.
But
I was already pursuing her.
Yeah, she was already pursuing. No, I think she did it to spite me. I think you did it.
I did.
You did it to spite me. You don't believe in it? Here it is. I want you to throw it away. Anyway, but yes, guys, find love. Look for it.
Appreciate the ones you have.
Work for it. Appreciate the ones you have. Don't focus on what they don't do. Focus on what they do. Focus on what you do have, and
get your coworker a teddy bear. You never know what might come with that.
Oh yes, be careful what kind of teddy bear. She was
small.
Yeah, she was wise enough to just get it very small.
Minimal.
I think she even gave me chocolates, just like I think just 3.
Mm-hmm. It was a token.
So it wasn't pressuring or anything, and I knew she did it to spite me again. So that was nice. But if you're going through a heartbreak right now, this too shall pass. You know, if you're experiencing Valentine's, your first Valentine's on your own, this too shall pass. Do not worry. I mean, I know it might sound tone deaf, but it comes from someone that experienced heartbreak. It comes from someone that, like you just shared with us, for many years, you broke someone's heart, Now, it turned out good for you because, like you said, that person allowed you to repair that.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing. And it turned out good for me because God allowed me to heal from that and to learn and see my own behavior, to have a retrospect of, I did that to someone else too.
Yeah.
So everything in life, it's a learning lesson, guys. I recently, my God, I know it's gone forever.
That's why we only post once a week right now.
Yes. Bear with me. I recently heard something that it really touched me, and I think it's the truth. It says, everything in life, everything good in life has a price. Mm-hmm. Everything. Nothing is for free. You need to, everything has a price. Everything bad and horrible that happens to you comes with an opportunity or a lesson.
Ooh, that's really good.
And so he said,
did you get that from Vision?
No, not this time. Inside joke, guys. And so whenever something good happens to you, you need to ask, at what cost? What did I lose? What was the cost of that good thing? Right? And then that will put into perspective, was that a good thing? Is that really a good thing? If I lost this, if I lost that, right? And then when something terrible happens to you, you need to say, what did I learn? Mm-hmm. What opportunity birthed from that? And is that a good opportunity? Is that a better opportunity than what I thought I was losing? Than what I thought I was hurting me at that point.
Yeah.
So that really spoke to me. And I think that's how I'm going to deal this year with not only faith of what's to come, but also whenever something good comes my way, I'm going to put emphasis on what was the cost of that.
Yeah.
And when something terrible comes my way, I'm going to put emphasis on, okay, where's the opportunity? Where's the lesson? And I think, again, if you're going through a heartbreak, if you're experiencing Valentine's on your own, put that into your life.
Yeah.
What am I learning from this? What am I going to learn from this? What's the opportunity I get from this? And if you're happily in a relationship and you're enjoying everything,
this too shall pass.
So
you gotta enjoy whatever opportunity you have with your children, with your spouse, with your relationship, because todo bueno y todo malo también pasa, and no nomás es las cosas malas.
No.
Más tenemos que apreciar lo que tenemos.
Yeah. And shout out to all those boys that made our hearts flutter, but never came to nothing.
Shout out to you, first grade, with your sweater.
Shout out to you, Edgardo. Shout out to you, Jesus. Jesus, you were a real one, man. Just life didn't put us together. But shout out to the guy that,
I chased.
That me quería poner hasta casa y todo, bien de Sinaloa, un hombre hecho y derecho. Y, no, thank you. Shout out to him. Shout out to the one that was, trying to pursue me. I pray and hope that you're better, doing better things with a better person, with a better opportunity, that you learn something from this. That I wasn't just an ephemeral thing, but I was a learning opportunity, I guess. And
shout out to my husband.
Yeah.
I have to shout him out, guys.
Yes.
This man really did this and put all of this here and set up everything we get to really enjoy, aside from the editing. That's all me. But for the most part, it's Joel. It's my husband, and I don't know where I would be without him. So
yeah. So happy Valentine's, everyone. Enjoy it. Have fun. Enjoy those you loved. Look forward to those that you will love. So God bless.
bye, guys.
Bye.